Welcome, everybody, to Movement Monday, I called it. You can ask me anything about clicker training, and the idea is to start with all questions about how to clicker train your horse for movement, how to exercise your horse with positive reinforcement. If you have questions, yeah, go ahead. Who wants to go first? Cindy, yes.
I'm going to unmute myself for this.
Yes, please.
When I have no problem. Okay. I don't know how to start. Okay, Firefly. If I take her for a walk in a strange place, she'll follow me nicely or walk beside me nicely. If we've been there before, she will want to charge ahead of me. How can I work with that?
First, let me ask you, what is your goal? Like, I have minis, I don't mind them walking in front of me. So depending on your goal, but where would you like your horse to walk? Or where would you like to be in comparison, like next to a shoulder, or what's a comfortable place for you?
Well, I don't dislike her walking ahead, but we walk in the conservation area. And once she's been there before, she will want to walk ahead. And I can still hold on to the rope and she's okay. She doesn't run off. Getting there is sometimes a problem because as soon as I have a small gate that leads down to the valley that gets us to the conservation area, and as soon as I open that small gate, she'll rush through and she'll take off. She doesn't go far, like she'll go down to the valley where the grass is, but she kind of, if there's something in her head that she wants, she'll just go, and she doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter if I'm holding on to her or not. She just wants to go. And so I would like to safely be able to walk her for exercise. Um, but just, yeah, just to get to that point where we're safe, where I can just walk beside her or walk behind her or whatever. But she doesn't just race past.
Yeah. So is there something that triggers her going through the gate? Because some horses have that, they rush through gates. Is that like a part of the thing that you want to change? Because then if gates in general are something that she rushes through, I would start training that a little separate. And then, like, taking her on walks, you could, for instance, start with target training. And then the moment that you notice that she wants to go in front of you or she wants to do her own thing, then you can pattern interrupt, like, hey, target. And then she's like, I want to go there. Oh, target, instead of like, oh, squirrel, I want to go there. Then you can train her to be focused on you. We can, since you're a member, we can make a training plan for that, and then we will spend a little bit more time on answering all the questions. So as I understood, like, fences are a struggle, so I would train the fence separately from using target for walks. And then if there's something else that is bothering her, maybe is she spooky or she's more high energy or nervous at new places?
Considering her weight, you'd think that she's not very active, but she likes to go. She loves to explore, and she's very food oriented. So it's the grass. Like, she wants to get out and get to the grass and just go. And then once she found the trail on her own, because it's not fenced off, once she found that trail on her own that connects us to the conservation area, we have to cross a field. But once she found that, I can't let them down there anymore because they know that trail and they'll just head straight for it.
Yeah.
So
So,
until I get my fence, until I build a new fence, yeah.
yeah. So there's so many ideas, but it's all like separate angles of solving this problem. So grass is a problem. There's grass training. You have the course grass training at your uh, you can access it in the academy. So what you could do is like, how would you, because it's like a lot, fence, going to a fence or gate, I should say. You don't want them to go to the fence because your horses already know how to do that. Little Houdinis. Anyway, gate training, grass training, and then leading. So those are three things already, and it's a lot. But what you could do is like 5 minutes of this, 5 minutes of that, 5 minutes of that, and accept that you have to start where your horse is at. So in order to make exercising successful, you have to spend some time on that. And if exercise is really urgent, then you have to find another way to exercise her right now if it really is a health issue. So for instance, like when horses rush through gates, I done the same with Kira. She was formerly wild horse. They are afraid for narrow spaces because it's danger, potential danger. So what you could do is like click treat for approaching the gate, because that's also a pattern interrupt. They are focused on you instead of like, oh, I have to rush through the fence. You open it a little bit. You click and treat for standing. And you can do that depending on the situation. Like open the gate and then click and treat for standing and click and treat for one step and one step. If your horse is really good with target training, you could use a target for that, and then literally train them to go step by step through a gate, and then you fade out, of course, the clicks and treats. I just made a video of a llama. Llamas do the same thing. I just made a video of how to do that with a llama. I will share it in the academy so you can get an idea what that looks like. Because it's always a danger if you walk through a gate and your horse wants to rush through it, because we get squeezed and whatnot. The grass training, you can start with hay, because in grass training you train three behaviors. You train the behavior graze now. It's a grazing cue. It's similar to key lesson head lowering, because if you say lower your head, yeah, and then they can eat. That's self-reinforcing. It's super easy to teach. But then you want to teach your horse to lift his head up, her head up, and you can train that with hay, or you can train that with grass or in their own field. The moment they stop grazing or look at you, you click and treat and you reinforce moving away from the grass. And then the third thing that you want to teach the horse is to focus on you and ignore grass. In the beginning, you use a lot of food reinforcement, a high rate of reinforcement. So click treat. You can do that with grass, offer grass in grass training, but you don't have to do that. And the more you do it, the more your horse becomes focused on you. And it's really convenient to have like a little cue, like lift your head up and stop grazing now. And yes, they will still want to graze, but it becomes more like, okay, in training we don't graze, and they will learn to pay attention to you. And then for the leading, you can start leading them without a lead rope, with targeting. and follow you. If you walk, they walk. If you stop, they stop. And then you start there, so they really pay attention to your body language. You don't need verbal cues for that. You could, because that will help you in the at liberty exercise training later on. So those are different angles. Did you get any ideas? Too
I
much?
did. And yes, a little. Um, she's really good inside the fence. So like when we're inside the meadow, I can walk with her and stop and she'll stop and there's no problem with her following me. It's just when we get out when there's grass, because there really isn't a lot of grass in the meadow. It's a lot of forage plants.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
once we get out where there is real grass, then she just has grass on her mind.
Yeah, so the thing is, it's like a shift in the environment. New is always
Mhm.
more enticing. So you change the environment. She knows exactly where everything grows in her meadow. But then outside the fence, new grass, new plants. Yeah, the grass is always greener on the other side. For horses, it's literally the case. So what you can do before you take her out is you repeat some of the lead training with the target, some of the grass training, so she has a little reminder of what you expect in the beginning. Make the time you take her out, like the distance, very short. And then when she does well, you have a high rate of reinforcement, low calorie treats, of course, or just a little bit of grass or herbs or whatever. So you can like take her out of the fence, out of the gate, and then walk with her like, maybe 5 meters, then go back and then repeat and then go back and then 6 meters or 7 meters. So the part of the environment just outside the fence get a lot of repetition, because the first 5 meters repetition, then go back again, those 5 meters outside the fence. And when you slowly increase it and go back, increase it and go back, and you keep your horse under threshold, calm, in learning mode, then that becomes really, really strong. That's how I usually do that, to get your horse used to, instead of like taking her out on a 30-minute walk. There's so many new things. Really keep like see it as a training to keep her on the threshold, to keep her focused on you. Then when she's in the meadow, back in the meadow, she can have her hey, where did she go? I'll just wait until she comes back. Anyway, what I would do is, if you bring the horse back to the meadow where they feel comfortable and safe, they can relax, they can think about the training, you can let it sink in, and then you can take the horse out for another repetition. So that would be, going back would be very comfortable. Well, maybe the horse doesn't want to go back, but that's not a problem. But the more you train, the more the horse tells you what he needs, basically. So when she comes back, I will repeat it. Any other questions? Helpful, got ideas so far? If you have a question, if something pops up, put it in the chat.
Can I unmute myself?
Absolutely.
Thank you. I already asked this question before. I got one horse, a fat one, excuse my bad English, who has a freezing problem. I tried to get her unfreezed by target training.
Yeah.
But she doesn't react to that, and she's completely in her head, shut off.
Mhm.
What
Shut
can I
down,
do
yes.
about that?
So what will happen, like horses, when they get really anxious, they go fight, flight, or freeze. Um, everybody, I assume everybody knows what flight is or fight. Then they can become aggressive, but freeze is something that we um, see happen less often. So what I would suggest is keep your horse under threshold, um, so so she doesn't freeze. Um, so if you go, because what's the situation? Are you talking about when you're leading her on the aisle in the stable?
Yeah, she no, it doesn't matter because when she's go out of her habitat, her secret,
Yeah.
safe place, she can yeah, go into freeze and never get out of it, get stuck.
So what you can offer is like security blankets, a safe space, a target. Hi, Cindy. I just talked through, but I will get back to the solution for you. Hilda's horse is freezing whenever she takes him out of the paddock, or you have a little track system, right, Hilda?
Yes,
Yeah. So like, so you already know that your horse gets really nervous leaving his safe space.
yes.
Is Yeah.
Not
So
every time, but say 80%.
that's a lot.
Yeah.
So yeah. So like what I would do, but for your horse it might be different. I need a little bit more information. Like, do you notice that your horse gets stressed when you are moving towards the gate?
No, she comes out the gate very happy, but when I have to go to another set of fences, yeah, she does, and go outside the barn. It's like there's a hele hoge drempel.
Yeah.
Uh, so she wants to stay inside the barn and make contact to all the horses, but don't want to go out the barn.
So the drempel is threshold, but is it a literal threshold? Is it like a physical thing that
No,
she has to? Oh, mentally. Okay.
mentally, yes.
Yeah, so that would make steps really, really small, like really go to the like the edge of her comfort zone. Let her stay there, click and treat, and then take her back to her like safe zone where she
Yeah.
feels comfortable, and then step by step try to stretch her comfort zone, and make it bigger and bigger. If you go from within her comfort zone and take her out, then it's too much, and then she might freeze or they get really nervous. And then there's also a little bit of what can happen is called trigger stacking. Does everybody know what that is? Hilda, do you know what trigger stacking is?
I guess it's a build-up of emotions or
Yes, exactly. A buildup of emotions, but like stress emotions.
yeah.
Like uh, when I watch a horror movie, I don't do that because I don't like that. But I have the first scare in the movie, and then they add the music, so that adds more and more and more until I really like am really like easily spooked just watching a movie. The same thing can happen to our horses. They go outside their own habitat, they go outside the paddock, they already a little bit nervous. Oh, plastic bag, nervous. Oh, somebody shouts, or there is like a noise or whatever you cannot control, and more until they get to that threshold where they either fight, flight, or freeze. So we every time we notice, oh, there is tension building up, what we need to do is first to learn to recognize it, really watch closely to their facial expressions, if their eyes widen, if they don't blink anymore, those if they lift their head, if they become tense in the neck, those are all signals that something is
She doesn't
happening.
do that.
Hmm?
She doesn't do that. She stands there, she lowers her head, she goes, shivers with her lips, but she doesn't walk. I can't get in contact with her.
I would love to if you make a video and put it
Yeah,
in the academy,
I
because
will.
sometimes when we take our horses over threshold over and over, that process goes quicker and quicker. Like the time between in the comfort zone and way out of comfort zone becomes like that goes quicker because it's also association. Oh, outside is danger, outside is danger. So they are already almost to their threshold, and even like their behavior is normal to us because that's how they always behave. So it's the norm, so it becomes normal. So we don't think they get tense because their tense in their neck, their face is normal to us. So we don't really recognize it, and sometimes it's really subtle. And in general, we horse people, especially if we are traditional training and traditional riding, we have been systematically taught not to pay attention to the facial expression, to their ears, to what they are communicating to us. Oh, you come with the saddle, they put their ears back. He doesn't mean anything with it. Just go ahead. Oh, he swishes his tail. He doesn't mean anything. Just go ahead. So we have consistently learned to ignore, 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 ignore. Um, and we think it's normal. They don't mean anything. While the reason is, well, in fact, they do mean stuff with it. And what can also happen, I don't suspect that with your horse, Hilda, from what I've seen. But what can also happen is like the tail swishing, the ears back, the tension building up, all those signals to communicate to you, I'm getting scared. They can skip those subtle signals if they have been ignored systematically. So, for instance, in aggression, you see that a lot. Oh, he kicked me out of nothing, out of the blue. He just kicked me out of the blue. He just bit me. That's because systematically we have ignored ears back, all the signals, tail swishing, everything
I
else.
get your
So
point.
some horses skip that.
I get your point, but I'm working with her for so long now, and I'm paying attention to every little detail. She's just frozen. No, no, walking, step, freeze, step, freeze, and then eventually at the gate, at the door, open door, the doors are always open, big doors. She won't go then, and we go back. But I sometimes, maybe a stupid question, but sometimes I have the idea, maybe she's, uh, she knows I'm getting treats, and when I go back, I get even more treats, because she can get to the
Back to
hay.
a safe place. So absolutely, yes. Over time, it can also become a learned behavior. And she's
Yeah,
not really frozen in the sense of she's panicking inside and she's like frozen, but she learned to stop because that's the behavior that gets reinforced. So again, like, do you have a tripod, statif?
no, but I have, my husband is with me most of the time, so I can ask him to film.
That will be so helpful let him like stand there in the doors of the stable, and then film you when you're approaching.
Yeah.
And then I'll take a look at what Zoe is telling us.
No, this is Eva.
Oh, Ava. Okay,
Yes.
then I'll
Sorry. I,
get Ava's opinion about this, and then we can make a plan, a shaping plan about how to overcome this, because we really want them to just walk with us and not just
yeah.
stop and stand all the time, because I totally get it. If it's fear, it's a different approach than when it's learned behavior, or maybe it's a mix of those two, or maybe there's something else going on. But I really like to help you, and the video is super helpful.
Yeah. I will work on that.
Yeah, because then I can help you with a plan, and then get that solved.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Sandra.
Okay, you're welcome. Anybody else has a question? Okay.
There's one in the chat.
Yeah.
Do you see that one?
Yeah. Can you break down stacking or lumping so I can understand it? We were disconnected, but I did hear the end of your comment. Yeah, that's because there's two people now with
The second
my
comment,
name.
The second comment is Cindy. So she heard
Okay.
your comment.
Yeah.
And the first one is the other Sandra.
Okay, for Cindy, I will have to go back to the recording, but I have, oh yeah, because taking the horse out of the meadow, slowly stretch the distance that you take her out, and then go back, and then go back, put her back in the meadow. You can even just take her off the lead rope. That would be your break, because that's her own environment in where she can calm down. Same can go for Hilda too. Just take them out like a few steps, bring them back. That's also what I did with Kira, my formerly wild horse. It worked really well, because instead of trigger stacking, you go back to a safe place where they can calm down. Like the chances that they mentally calm down are so big by taking them back to their usual where they living space, paddock, meadow, wherever they live. And then when you see that they're totally relaxed, by that you see that they will be eating or doing something that they like to do, or start ignoring you, then it's time, like, okay, let them calm down and do their own thing for a bit, and then again take them out. In your case, Cindy, like you can click and treat approaching the gate, so you already have like the gate, not like whoop, first trigger, but that might be something for Hilda too. Before I break down the stacking and the lumping, I will just go to the commercial break. Yes, the reason is that I would like to ask you, I would like to introduce a really good charity, animal charity to you. I work with the Llama Sanctuary since 3 years. I train llamas for them. They've had like a really rough year. So I wanted to share that with you. The Llama Sanctuary, if you want to donate because you love this Q&A and you then I would like to ask you kindly to make a donation. Haven't practiced all this too much, sorry. They had a really good environment. Then they had to move, and then they moved to a temporarily space with 40 elderly, crippled, older llamas and alpacas. We all know that moving is one of the top three most stressful events in people's life. public speaking is one, and the death of a family member is one. But moving is highly stressful. Can you imagine that you have to move with 40 llamas and alpacas? So they went from where they were to a temporary space, and then they had to move again. And this is probably temporary for 5 years, but still they had to move a few times within 1 year. Moving is a very costly thing to do. But now the last move was they moved to the Eco Park in Tappan in BC, British Columbia in Canada, and it was just one open space. So David, who you see on the right on this picture, and Lynn, who you see on the left, they are the founders of the Llama Sanctuary. They are the biggest camelid rescue organization in North America. So David has been building over 10,000 feet of llama-proof fencing, I think almost 10 or 12 shelters, and while Lynn is taking care of the llamas. So they can use some financial aid. Georgie, if you would like to share the link in the chat, if you haven't already. Yes, thank you, Georgie, for sharing the link. If you're watching on Facebook Live, I will share the link, and please come back later to find the links. So that was my request for donating for a good cause. And I would also like to tell you a little bit about the HippoLogic Clicker Training Academy. If you do a one-on-one training with me, that's $2,500 for 12 weeks of training. But in the HippoLogic Academy, for $1,500, you get 1 year of support. So you get the opportunity to share your training videos, and to get a personal feedback from me, so you can get all the details right. You get weekly live Q&As like this one to get all your questions answered. And if your question is not answered, we have a Facebook group. I often ask you to make a video of the struggle that you're or just of your training, so I can give you more tailored advice so that you don't stay stuck. And then when you are a member, you also have access to the online clicker training library, which contains recordings of masterclasses, previous Q&A, and also my personal training videos in which you can see how a behavior is trained from A to Z. If you have a behavior that you want to train, this goes automatically. Anyway, if you have a behavior that you want to train, and my horses haven't done that, I can make training videos for you so you can know exactly see how it's done. If you become a member, you get 3 bonuses. The Confident Clicker Trainer, it's a intensive course of all the foundation. You get from Whoa Horse to Go Horse, it's the movement training, and you get grass training, because grass training is, well, it's a big struggle in spring. This is my horse Kira in movement training. She got really obese. She got body score 9 out of 9. And then 1 year later, with positive reinforcement movement training, she looked like that. It's a process. You don't get there within a few weeks. I refuse to put her on a crash diet. I refuse to put her in solitary confinement. She had to when she had laminitis, but I wanted to change that as soon as possible. So with all the things that I did, like managing her habitat, managing her diet and nutrition, and especially her exercise program, she became healthy again and more forward. She wasn't a Whoa Horse anymore, and also she never got laminitis anymore. This is in the academy. Every season, it's a 1 year program, and every season has its own challenges. So in spring, in this time of year, we all struggle with grass, which is way more enticing than us, the trainer. So grass training is something that we work on. Like in summer, maybe you want to go out, maybe you need to trailer your horse. So trails and trailering is something that that is the bonus for summer. In autumn, it comes with its own struggles like mud. So in autumn, we focus more on husbandry skills, but all the skills that we also can use in movement training, like leading at liberty, leading with target training, all those things we cover in the academy. And then in winter, people think that in winter it's cold, depending on where you are, but the ground is frozen, you can't do anything. But winter is the perfect training time to prepare your horse again for spring. You can work on all those little things that the rest of the year you don't really pay attention to, but that can help your horse become even a better horse for you. So that was my commercial break. How to join: you will send in your application form. I will put the link in the Facebook live, and then if I think you're fit, then you will be invited to a free call to have like a little chat on what your goals are, and you will also get a link to join us. So if you have any questions on that, please feel free to contact me, but you can also fill in the application form right away. Thank you for listening to my commercial break. Let's get back. Can you break down stacking or lumping? So trigger stacking is something happens, your horse gets little tense, and then something else happens, more tense. If we don't get a horse down to relaxation.
Sorry, Sandra's waving her hand. I think she has this question.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I'm sorry. I didn't want. I'm sorry. I didn't want you to waste your time on that. Apparently, I'm using the wrong term. My horse seems to like doing several cues together. She doesn't seem to like when I do duration, where I'm holding. Oh gosh, I'm using all the wrong terms this morning. I'm so sorry. Where I'm extending the time where she gets a treat. So I thought maybe I could work more on the stacking or the lumping of the different cues together. Like we'll be walking along and she'll want, treat now, but if I turn her and do something different and ask for something else, then she gets more excited about that and she seems more in tuned. But I want to do a good job with that. And I remember reading that in your stuff that you can do that. You can do one cue to the next cue and then give them a treat for that. But I want to do that the right way. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. So for everybody, so what you can do, and this is advanced training, we don't start there, but if you have trained behavior A, behavior B, behavior C, and you have trained them, so that means that each behavior is on cue. You already faded out the clicks and the treats, which doesn't necessarily have to mean that you have faded out all reinforcement, but you don't reinforce 100% of the good results. So you're already on a variable reward schedule before you can do that. What you can do, depending on the behavior, you can make a chain of behaviors. Behavior A, behavior B, behavior C, and then you click and treat, or you treat behavior C. So you can get like a chain. Each behavior is a different link in the chain. There's different ways to train that depending on the behaviors. If you already know that you are going to make a chain because you need a behavior chain, for instance, if you do a dressage test, you have like a lot of behaviors in that 7 minutes. So then you start back chaining, which means you start with the last behavior, you put a behavior in front of that, and then you repeat. So like let me write this down too. So X, Y, Z are the last letters. So you start with behavior Z, then you put Y before it, then you train Y, Z, and then you put X before it, so you train X, Y, Z. So Z becomes really, really, really strong. You can also reward a behavior with a other reward. Some horses love to stand on pedestals. So you can ask your horse to do something, and then as a reward, let them stand on the pedestal. But it's a little bit different. So I do want to explain the trigger stacking, because trigger stacking is something else than building a chain of behaviors. We use the word, the explanation, trigger stacking when they get nervous until flight, fight, or freeze. In order to prevent that, we have to calm our horses down in between the triggers, because this is where it happens. Like, my horse is so solid on trails, but today he just spooked of a plastic bag. He probably didn't just spook of that plastic bag, but something has happened. Something is already out of the ordinary. His friend was already going away. He is already high strung. Maybe it's stormy. And then the plastic bag that normally wouldn't spook him caused him to spook. The other thing, lumping, is also a term that we want to avoid. Lumping means that we lump a lot of things together. Instead of teaching your horse a behavior step by step and make 10 steps out of training this one thing, we lump and we go from step 1 to step 7, and your horse is like, I don't know what you mean. They can either become frustrated or they become helpless. They think, I don't get it. I'll do something that I like to do. And they tune out. So that's just something that for everybody who's watching, I wanted to
Thank you.
clarify.
I'm sorry about confusing that. Yeah.
Oh, no.
Does it seem to you that I should then work on the duration of the treats? What's the term for, it sounds like to me like chaining is too advanced for me, that I'm trying to do something that I probably shouldn't be doing, although she reacts very well with it. Does it sound like I should go to,
What's the
intermittent
behavior?
treats a little bit more? She does not. I'm asking her to do one thing, and if I want her to wait a little bit longer for the next treat, it's something she knows very well, but she's very impatient to get to that treat. So if I
Can you please
if I
give me
try to bring that out,
Can you give me an example of the behavior that you're asking?
so let's say simple stuff like putting the halter on and leading out. She wants a treat right away for simple ABC stuff. And if she doesn't get that, then she starts doing like head down, or she'll throw some other things at me like, oh, she just wants to earn that treat. So me extending the time till she gets that treat makes her go, oh, I have to start throwing other stuff at you. So I started the chaining, and that worked a lot better with her. But it sounds like that's so advanced that maybe I'm going to skip a step here, and I don't want to do that.
So several things can happen in the example that you're giving. Like, your horse can be under the impression that he doesn't get a treat, so she has to do more. So now she's throwing in like getting haltered, head lowering, maybe something else. Do you eventually click and treat? Do you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what you are reinforcing is a whole chain of behaviors, and then you click.
Yeah.
So you, instead of teaching duration of one behavior, and she has learned oh, when I don't get a treat, I did something wrong and I have to figure out what it is. So it would be interesting to see if you video yourself, you would see, does she always do the same behaviors or does she do it in a different order? Because if it's a different order, it's not really a chain of behaviors, but she's just, my guess would be, like what you're from the information, which is little, you're giving me,
Yeah.
is that she becomes frustrated. She
Yeah.
expects a treat, she doesn't get it, so
Yes.
she is trying to get a treat no matter what. Haltering
Right.
doesn't work. Let's offer some other behaviors that has been reinforced in the past. Horses can get really creative. They can come up with behaviors that we reinforced accidentally or unconsciously. Oh, or
Right.
they can reinforce themselves. You know what? I'll just take a bite of grass because it's allowed. So it would be, in order to work on a solution, it's the solution, the answer to the solution is give your horse more clarity about when to expect a treat and when not to expect a treat. Things to give your horse more clarity can be give an end of training signal, all gone, no more treats. But like, for instance, for the haltering would be, I would just, I would figure out based on what your horse is telling you by video is what happens and what does your horse do, because what you can do is pattern interrupt, and instead of like giving her treat for the haltering, ask her immediately to do something that you want her to do, so she doesn't have to start guessing, and then
Yeah.
and then systematically fading out the clicks and treats, so they get used to less treats and more behavior. Once the horses learn that duration is the answer we are looking for, they will start offering more duration instead of doing 50 other
Okay.
things. They were like, okay,
Yeah.
I didn't get a treat for trot. Let's trot again and see if I get it now. Instead of like, I didn't get a treat
Yeah.
for trot. Let's lay down. Let's flame. Let's push the ball. Let's
Yeah.
start touch the target. Let's start mugging, because that always leads to treats. Just saying, out of experience. But like, yeah. So
Yeah.
when you can give your horse more clarity about when to expect a treat and when not to expect a treat, and this is a little bit the general solution, but yeah, start paying attention what happens before it happens, and it will give you also more ideas. If you want more help, join the academy.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. More questions? Are there more questions, Georgie, that you see?
Don't think there's any more in the chat unless someone wants to put a question in the chat or ask one.
I'm
Yes.
again. Me
Oh,
again.
and Melody.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, and Melody. Okay, Hilda first, and then I'll get to Melody.
Can it be with Zoe that I reward her with that I give her not enough treats, that she when she does something very well, that she wants more treats? So do I have to give her more treats then?
Yes and no. Sorry, it's a yes and no answer. Depends. I don't like when I get the feeling that an animal is demanding a treat, because they can do that. It's a signal to me that I haven't been clear. It's a signal to me that I have been lumping, I have been skipping steps. They don't understand it. It's like, this is the answer. Why do you not respond in a way that you always respond with the treat? So that could be one thing. The other thing is that we just forget to start with a high rate of reinforcement to build the confidence, to make it really clear about what it is, and then forget to fade out the clicks and the treats, the reinforcers. If we don't do that, horses do less and demand more. So that could be because we haven't had that high rate of reinforcement in the beginning, or we don't fade out our reinforcement eventually. So it's absolutely a reason to make a little video, send it in, and see what happens. Because sometimes it's something else, but like with a video, I like videos so much because it gives me more ideas, because the horse is communicating and I can see what the horse is saying based on experience that I have working with so many horses in person. So yeah, absolutely we'll take a look at that together. But yeah, and that's what I love about these Q&As and live calls, because you get ideas from other people's questions. You get ideas from other people solutions. Sometimes you have to tailor it to your own horse. Well, you always have to tailor it to your own horse, but it can be, okay, I have this idea now, I have that idea, and I have a third idea, so I can try them all out and see what works and what's best for my horse, because there is no cookie cutter solution. It's always, that's why I try to focus on teaching people the principles of learning and motivation, so you can just apply the principles instead of like, how many times do I have to click before my horse knows the cue or the behavior. There's no rule for that. But the principle is, as soon as your horse understands the behavior, as soon as your horse is systematically offering that behavior that you are looking for, then it's time to add a cue on that behavior and change your reinforcement schedule and fade out the clicks and the treats. And then you can start building reinforcing behavior with behavior, making behavior change. So you don't have to use like 2 kilograms of treats for a half an hour of training, but you can do like get more behavior with less treats and keep a happy horse that is relaxed about food in training. Let's go to Melody. Would you like to read that up? Read that for me, Georgie.
She's going to tell you, I think, because I don't see it in the chat.
Awesome. Yeah, unmute yourself. You're muted.
There you go. Right. I think I'm fine. So we've got a pony. We've had him for about 6 months now, and he has EMS. And we have a little old sand school next to the field that they live in. And I'd like to take him in there to start to exercise him to help with his weight. And he hasn't really ever been in a stand school to my knowledge. I think shortly before I got him, he got very overweight and was taken in there and did kind of quite intensive lunging with people vaulting on him, which I don't think he liked. So when I took him in my home stand school for the first time, he had a really extreme panicky reaction where he almost, came to attack me. And that was a bit scary. So I wanted to make it a peaceful place for him to be and just to make a positive association with it. So I started using the clicker to kind of just walk him to it and walk him in, and just with my other horses, often movement really helps them to relax and calm. And I would walk with them and stop, and the focus is on me. And when they stop, I give a click and a treat, and that kind of makes them feel better. But with this pony, he's just really angsty, and it almost makes him worse trying to move him around. I think he's more agitated. So I changed tack and started just walking him in, standing him in the middle, and giving him scratches in places I know he enjoys, looking for some relaxation, like a head lowering or just softening, and then to click that, and then give him a little reinforcer, which I'm kind of reaching in the dark. So I was just looking for something good to happen in there that I could reinforce for him. But it's been a few weeks of doing that. There is some improvement, but he's still very uncomfortable in the space. And I don't know if I'm basically doing it wrong. Really, I'd like to exercise him in there, but I think it all has to come from a place of relaxation. and we've definitely
Absolutely, absolutely right. I really like applaud you for having that insight and making that your starting point. Because if you try to put exercising on there, well, the environment is triggering some kind of trauma.
Mm.
Um, when that happens, they are not in learning mode. They are in
Oh.
survival mode. So learning, they will learn, but they only learn what keeps them safe. And
Hmm.
they are not in learning mode in the sense of that they pay attention to us. Is it possible to put him in there with his buddy?
As in take the two of them, take more of them in. Yeah, I could take another
Because
pony.
usually when they see their like it could be their best buddy, if their best buddy feels comfortable there.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I would pick maybe not his best buddy, but the most calmest horse. So he
Mm.
really sees like, okay, it's all good here. And like what you're doing, like offering scratches and doing all these things, like if movement will get that excitement up. Some horses like to move to calm down, others not so much, depending on the breed. Sometimes, like I usually, up until a few years ago, my only experience was that most horses calm down from doing a little bit of movement. If they're scared, like let them walk it off. Until I came across off-track thoroughbreds. Once they're moving, they get moving faster. They cannot soothe themselves down. It's and
So
some
really
horses have
interestingly,
that.
this
What's
job
your
before we
what's
got him
the
as I'm sorry, before we got him as a children's pony, he was used as a racehorse's companion. He's quite a small pony, and he does a lot of the same behaviours. It's incredible, but he's a small, cold-blooded pony. So he shouldn't. You'd think he would be different behaviours.
so yeah, that could be really well so ingrained. It can be even that the sand arena reminds him of the behaviors on the track. So there's a lot of work to do. If, like, for instance, if exercising is really urgent right now, I would like start looking at other solutions of exercising him, and then arena training, make it a separate thing. If there is like if he is already she has EMS, then it's important to get them moving.
Yeah, so we do. We hack out a few times a week, so he is getting out for that kind of part of exercise, and he lives on a track, and he's on hay and very little grass. So he's kind of he's not like in a laminitis danger zone per se, but it's something that we really need to keep moving. So okay, so I just have to keep going with what I'm doing, you think, and make
the
it a nice
sessions
place before I think anything else.
make the sessions in the arena really, really short.
Yeah,
Like
it's actually
one,
like 5 minutes. It's so ridiculous.
or
kind of.
one or two.
Yeah.
Like really.
Okay.
And then you
really
build
short.
up from there, because
Okay.
like if 5 is too much or they can't calm down, he's probably the longer will not help him become calmer. The shorter. We like, and it's traditional ideas that we get from our environment. He has to get used to it. He will get used to it. Leave him in there longer. He will adjust. Maybe, probably not. Maybe, you don't know.
Okay.
Why not stay on the safe side? Do it like 1 minute, or just take him to there, give him a treat, take him back out immediately. Like really, really small, because like the little information you give me, but like if he has been like companion for track of race horses, there's probably more going on than just the general horse that doesn't like to be in the arena.
Mm.
My guess. So yeah,
Okay.
but this is the information, the advice that I can give on information that I have and in the time that we have for
Thank
it.
you.
Oh, you're welcome. Anybody else? One last question? If not, I would like to really thank you for being here. I hope it was helpful, valuable. Please give me some feedback if you had something useful out of it. For Hilda and Cindy, you're in the academy, please make the videos and I will help you with your personal training plan and shaping plans. Thank you, bye-bye. You are the trainer. Happy horse training.